Did you hear it?
I heard, this is very newsworthy. Going and getting all this. Probably wondering why.
Oh, I got microphone and stuff now.
So do we need Ty to stand up there and hold something like the whole? thing?
Probably.
Does it show on there?
Yep, we got.
It's going.
The wheel of
Hey,
death.
There we go.
There. Hello.
needing my daughter to bring a little leopard dog back from Scotland.
Oh, your mom says yay, yay, so she must be able to see us.
Here,
Here.
see us.
Awesome.
Technical difficulties. Right. Doing our due diligence, so
Thanks, Dylan.
make sure the public is served.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, dude.
We could get that sucker in the room.
I survived my work.
You want to slide this back? Sorry.
Slide over
I kinda
time.
like it. It's comfortable.
Just buy more room.
Yeah.
Okay, on back. Dave, that dead said.
I'm gonna go back to.
More your way.
Let's say it was dressed
You want to be dead center on.
Before we take the thing back. There.
Here you go.
Oh, all is well. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, back to supervisor reports, Craig.
I'm good.
Sorry.
Kyle.
Well, Gene and I were over at Crawford County Community Services Building yesterday, cleaning things up, setting things up. Helping, getting Juan and his crew on the roof, and they did expose some bad plywood and sheeting underneath the roof and, stuff, so it put some
Stay underneath the roof.
under the shingles, or water damage had occurred, so they're gonna put some new plywood down.
Good.
Okay.
And,
So are we reshingling it now?
yeah, all done.
As we speak.
Okay.
About done. And then they'll put new gutters on and, yeah, I know you were inquiring about all the plugins.
Yeah, Dave said it just plugs in. They
Yeah.
just,
And it looked like a wiring nightmare and really didn't know what,
right, so
So-
they just connected.
and they're gonna put bigger drops in when they put the new gutters on, so we're just gonna see what it.
Cause those were heated, is what.
Yeah.
They were just kind of hanging in there
Yeah,
though, so
yeah.
I don't know if they're more of a help or a hindrance.
Yeah, I think the new
So-
ones, cause they're gonna be,
They kind of just all
Wider.
disappeared and went to the landfill. And,
Yeah.
Good place for them.
and I think Juan was saying now that we have to do it again, they have one of them, it'll be a kind of a continuous run that would just be a lot better, cleaner look.
We'll see
So
how next winter goes. and
Yeah.
Maybe we don't even.
I don't know if we would, he said if you keep your gutters clean, you shouldn't need them. So,
there's not a
They're gonna
lot.
do leaf gutters.
yeah, maybe we should, maybe we do. Maybe we have to put leaf guards on. I don't know.
There are some trees
Let's see what the
relatively
budget looks
closer
like.
to
next
the-
year.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then the winter time, the fall, when
Yeah.
leaves are blowing, wind's coming out of the north.
but even though, like I said, we put the bigger drops in, even the leaves should fly down through there, but I don't know.
We'll wait and see.
We'll
It'll be
see.
an improvement from what we had, I'm sure, but, yeah. I appreciated your help. We just, those little things that, just took, like getting the chairs all uncovered and getting them all spaced out there. I showed you guys all the videos. I think we have plenty of chairs and plenty of tables for any function that would, want.
Well, it should be able to host pancake feed there.
We almost could, yeah. After I kind of thought about it, I might take one of those tables and put it in that break room along that wall just for some extra.
One of those tables can, yeah, probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, might go down there too.
Mhm.
Just make it look nice, kind of, spiffed up the floors and looking good. I really think it's, we're hoping, to get, public health to move over. Originally, they were going to put it off a little bit. Now they've agreed to move more, different agencies move at different times rather than a big massive move. And I'm thankful to Corey that he can facilitate keeping internet at the old building and have the internet at the new building so there'll be no disruptions. So according to public health, it's a big grant ready time, so it's not a great time to be disrupting. But we do have the approval of, the Public Health Board to close on a Friday so that we can, just get that done and not skip too much of a beat. But if we put a notification up soon enough that it's gonna be closed, and if it's not on the week of, immunization day, we should be able to get that facilitated and be up to running the next Monday.
Has there ever been any interest in the annexed building?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. There
Okay,
is a
good.
company from Storm Lake that had looked at it and it was so, kind of full of stuff. So the real estate agent called me and wondered if this month, May, if they can get in there with their architects to possibly measure. It's a company from Storm Lake that's looking at it, is my understanding. So that's another reason to keep pushing to get it
Right.
cleaned out a little bit so we can get that sold. It's listed with all of the real estate agents in Denison, and it's been shown twice that I know of, so. But it is hard to show with so much stuff in there. There's just gonna be so much better when we're getting stuff out. The storage room underneath the Nepal building is completely empty. That was another good teamwork, getting all that out of there. Wesco did come in and help, and they were very helpful. I did kind of hear that if we weren't moving our rep, it's going to go up to $1,000 possibly. So good thing we have our own facility now to not have to spend that extra money to, and like I said, last month, they've been doing their advance, up in the new building now. And so it's already starting, be useful. Got some other new chairs from down there. So everybody's happy they got new office chairs. Different. They're not new. They were the ones that, DHS was using, so you got some fun. They were nice.
For, yeah, the election.
What do we do with our chairs? We just throw them away?
Well, one was broke. Anyway. I don't know where they went, downstairs, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll get reused or. They were, been here a long time. A long
Always need
time,
more chairs in the conference room.
a long time. I know, but. Too
That's
much
all
is too
I-
much
You know, it's true.
and
Sorry to take your time.
different. I don't know, just trying to not make it look too cluttered.
And the new door did get in yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Juan was gonna trim that out today.
That's great.
I have a video from
I
it.
know we saved that.
And that door that was there.
Is there,
They're
gonna
gonna,
fit
we're
somewhere
gonna
else?
move that to where the old door going into that break room is. That don't,
oh,
cause we're gonna throw a
So
door
it's a
away,
lock.
we just will
throw
throw
an old door away.
Old door away.
Yeah.
And then all the doors down there will match.
Woohoo.
It looked really, really good down there, really good.
It really
Yeah,
is
it does.
shaping up
Yeah,
nice.
the terrific video that Gene had. It's nice.
You're lucky I didn't have the volume on.
Louise said something about bolting them curbs down and then getting them painted.
Oh, and she did say something about grinding that in front of the door down.
Yeah,
And Gene, maybe you remember, Ty and I both kind of, I'm not against doing that, it makes sense, but I don't know how deep the concrete was when they poured it there, because they grind too much of it down. The concrete wouldn't be very thick, but I don't know how deep that,
Frazier's did that and,
you know, what I'm saying, if it's only 4 inches deep there, and if you grind 3 inches down, you'd only have a bunch of concrete.
It would crack
But if
out.
it's 6 inches deep, we could grind 3 inches down, probably. get
I think
that.
she's talking about grinding the sidewalk.
That's what I'm,
Is that what you're talking about
Yeah.
too?
you know.
why is she
So the
wanting to do that?
sidewalk's only
I haven't
4
heard
inches.
So it's actually handicap accessible, so a
But
wheelchair
if
could
it's
go
only
up
4 inches.
in the
deep,
between the
Right.
two stalls.
Oh, well,
yeah,
that's,
But if it's only 4 inches deep and we grind it 3 inches off of it, then we only have an inch of concrete left there.
but is it not, it doesn't work where we put the ramp over there?
Well, I see what Louise is saying, nobody,
They'd
and
have to come out and go around the car and,
they're not doing that. I think they're probably, it's not the natural flow, it's not the natural flow to do that.
Right.
She said something about it was a tight turn. Must have been somebody with an electric wheelchair, so.
yeah, up at the sidewalk where
They're
you,
right turn right there.
where
Where
you,
it's a
yeah.
L, where it's L.
I mean, the worst thing we could do is have to cut out a 4x4 chunk of concrete and redo that.
Right. I guess you grind it down and then see what happens.
Correct.
We could
Yeah, one way
ask
or the other,
Fraser if
that's
they
right.
remember.
If it cracks up, then okay, we gotta dig it out, go deeper.
Yeah. That'd be the only,
But it's, thinking about it, when you're walking then to go to the door, are you gonna see I mean, is that gonna be
That should be,
It's
you
one
blend
sidewalk
it in
there.
where it would just be a natural.
Right.
I don't
flow of the
visualize it,
concrete,
but that's not.
It won't be a sway, it'll be just.
Yeah, just
Right.
more of a natural.
Especially if
Topography
it's only
change.
3 or 4 inches.
So who do we
Sidewalk
suggest
anyway.
grinds that?
I don't have a concrete guy.
You know, a concrete
I
guy?
go to city,
I do know a concrete guy, but, I have concrete at my house that needs to get done.
you have to pay
For 5
that.
years now.
How can you pay the
Job
guy?
board?
Yes, if I
Huh?
could,
Job board, did they still do their
we could.
I
construction?
don't know.
We
They
could.
might.
They might. That's a good idea.
That's what I
I
was
think I
just
know
out
who to
there.
call.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll ask.
there you go.
I know somebody, not a job board I could call to see if
Okay.
they would have somebody. Yeah,
I have
whatever
more of
she
a
needs to do to
concrete
make
saw
that.
from there.
There's a good crew working right across the street from my house.
And then what, we gotta get, to get upstairs, there's a, who? What do you think, they have somebody built yet? Put the
Uh,
freezer on?
Yep, we did look at that yesterday and that's, I think, a little platform.
I knew what they actually wanted,
Yeah. Well, we could, see if Kim wants to meet us over there after the meeting so we could figure out if Juan's group needs to build a little platform or it'll need to put
Yeah,
a trim around there.
I'm
Just
sure.
little tiny things that need to be done, but in my opinion, some of
There's
that.
some of
can
that
be done.
stuff, they could just do it, I think, I mean, put the wheels on rolling carts or whatever.
Yeah. We volunteered to do those.
But I mean, some of the stuff that needs built or whatever, yeah, we had that list, yeah,
Yep.
let's get it done.
Yep, we got the list. I gave
I'm
one
tired,
to.
I don't. I don't appreciate calling on every day to
No.
have a little project down
No.
or whatever. I wish I had a list of stuff that they're knocking us out or calling whoever, I don't.
I did leave that
I'll bring myself.
printed it off
Myself.
yesterday and left one for Dave and then Juan was gonna just look at it. So
Okay.
there's small things, but we got some big things.
It's time.
Yeah, it is time, definitely time.
Kind of pass, I'll go with that word, pass time. And I don't mean the bar. It's bad, but
Right, yeah. It's coming, I guarantee it. The weather's good and all the things that we've been putting it off for, so it just has to get done. Get that other building sold.
Time to move.
Yeah.
Things can be done.
well,
I know
especially
a
if
lot
we've
of
got
people
somebody
move in
that's
the
highly
houses when they're
interested
not
in
done.
purchasing the annex.
There
I
it
mean,
is.
let's not screw that up.
I got it. So,
All right.
That's everything, Kyle?
Oh, more than everything.
All right. Gene,
I had my 3-county board meeting and I wanted to thank you for voting no on the change of the ratio that they're somehow, I didn't really understand, though, how these meetings,
you know what I really felt about that?
that's why I brought that up. I do want to know.
So we had a state early childhood Ohio board meeting. I'm on the state board. And this whole thing is kind of it mirrors public health, or not public health, sorry, mental health and the changes. And they won't, there's 33 or 4 different ECI districts. They wanted to change the whole formula for how the funding goes to the ECI districts. The thing I didn't like, it was one of these, well, we need to change it so we can see what's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, the number that struck out to me was what Polk County will be getting as opposed to what our entire region will be getting.
I'll be going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was Kelly Garcia was there, and it was so carbon copy of mental health. We're not gonna do this, we're here, we're investigating, we're doing all this, and all of a sudden, boom, here's the change we want.
Right. And I did ask Annette how, who actually orchestrated the change, who had the numbers for you guys to vote on. You guys didn't come up with the formula. And so she wanted me to thank you for your no vote, but unfortunately you got outvoted. And
There's only a handful of us that voted no.
Yeah.
And part of the problem was they pushed us with funding, but we need to pass it so we can see how it works, and then, so you can get going on your budgets.
Yep.
And I thought, no, this is pushing it too fast. We don't even know what's in the formula per
That's right.
se.
Yep, nope, it was it's hard, those meetings are always on Zoom and, it was hard to understand how this all came about and needed to ask a ton of questions because there's all these different people. So I talked to Annette afterwards to kind of figure out how whose plan this was. Was Dave part of the conception of the ratio? Or
No, we're not.
just
This
got to
is,
vote on it.
this is what was presented to us.
Yeah, it's,
And they changed it, so it's not, it used to be land-based formula.
Yep.
So more rural areas
I don't have
covered
the
them.
map.
And their argument was, well, some of those areas, you know, yeah, they have need, but the population isn't there, so we need to be more on this other database formula.
Oh my God.
It's,
My fear is that it's gonna go to more to the urban areas and
Absolutely.
it's justifiable, because when you see the numbers, it actually proves that more is gonna go to the.
I can see the,
Shame on that.
Well, when I did, well, Molly Scott has
Shame,
already
shame, I
gone
know.
part-time with DCAT because she saw the writing on the wall that possibly that won't be a full-time job for her anymore. And so she's working,
Yeah.
and I do believe she's working sometimes without being paid because she's so passionate about that program. Some of her emails come at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, you know, because she's just trying to get all her numbers. And after, when I talked to Annette, you know, she's really concerned about what this means for our region. And if she's even gonna be able to be a full-time employee with what the budget is and,
I'm fearful of for what you have to deal with now. With the discretionary funds that you have could be very minimal.
they've worried about that for 2 years now, though, quite frankly.
And the whole idea, the whole premise of ECI started as, we need local people. I mean, you look at the makeup of the boards, it's all local input and it's small. So that if you have a need more for daycare, if you have a need more for nurse care consultant or more need for iSmiles or any of these programs, you can tweak those for what's you're needed in your own community. And now they're, well, changing the funding formula and
And how many of the people on these boards get paid?
not
So why are they changing that? I think like that's costing us.
exactly the same reason why the bridge funds form that Paul's had on, you know, nobody got paid to decide where the funds went.
Let's take it
I
away.
guarantee you that money will all of a sudden, well, we're gonna have to spend more of that money into the urban areas and the little people aren't gonna get as much.
Yep, the surf guide formula.
Yep. We will be flipping pancakes out here in rural Iowa so we can build a new bridge.
So we can build a bridge.
Well, we did write a
Or
letter.
have money for ice miles.
um,
Or we'll go back to the way it was, where the county board of supervisors just sets aside funds for that. Like we did in the thirties, what you saw.
So then the property tax, they're not supposed to raise, will have to go up.
I can't.
I,
We can't.
Yeah. There won't be I mean, we'll have,
It's,
we'll have,
we're
to
limited as to
we'll
what.
have to shut something down.
I really do feel for your local
I
board,
got a low.
Gene, because I just, it's gonna be tough going.
it's, well, we're still trying to get that advisory board set up so that we do have representation, you know, in some of this that we've not heard yet. Because they're specific on what role each person on that board, they want, you know, somebody with medical, somebody with financials, you know, so they're gonna not necessarily pick. It's,
Gene, I just feel for you.
Thank you.
This is the second board you're on that just.
Maybe you're like, you get moved in
Circling the
advisor.
drain.
I
And
don't
it's
know.
not you.
It's not me. It was, this was all in the work.
Well, maybe, I'm just assuming.
I would, we were starting to get a complex for you.
Luckily, I'm
Do we
not
need,
getting one
any
for
board we
myself.
wanna eliminate, we could just
You're
put you on.
putting
Gene, would you mix Central Iowa juvenile detention?
That didn't even come out of my mouth.
I'm on IT, so let's see what happens there. So there. Very nice for letting me give my update, but thank you for your no vote. I want to make sure that that was appreciated. All right, we got about 5 minutes time.
Well, guy.
Why, thank you.
You up?
I really, mine was all about travel last week. I did get a good report from the doctor on Wednesday, so no more CT scans or all that.
Congratulations.
So we're rocking this,
Congratulations.
thanks, we're rocking. It's all in prayers I keep. Anyway, we had the directors meeting for the
Yeah.
supervisors. That was last week. When I was leaving, there was somebody from Perry that was out in the field, so I thought, little hope that you'd be there. That dude's out turning dirt. Anyway, what we do with this,
Was someone from Perry?
There was somebody down back close to Perry that was
Oh,
out.
close to Perry, I see, okay.
Yeah.
I was saying, cause Perry got a new, company that was moving to Perry.
Yeah.
They just announced, I think it was what, 1,800 jobs?
Yeah.
Or something in Perry.
They got some stuff going. You know what, though? They got their site ready stuff.
Right.
That's, and then their ground's a lot easier to get ready. We don't have to move a lot of tons of dirt to get something ready.
I would have really liked to go on that. Seemed like a,
Yeah, it was okay. You know what? Washington County is very interesting.
yeah,
And their old history teacher, this guy must be kind of renowned. And was he interesting? I'll kind of go in that, but. First things we do is we have our meeting, a business meeting. And because we weren't sure that everybody was gonna be able to stay for Friday, and we did lose Carl. So we would have lost our, quorum. So we got all of our business meeting done on Thursday. And that's usually just setting up old stuff, the budget stuff, where we're paying what bill or what. But then it's also setting up stuff for the meeting. We did, which meeting was it that we wanted to do again with the auditors? Purchase and procurement maybe, and have you guys with us again there, so that'll be in the annual meeting. Then the assessors actually asked if they could have a little longer, because they thought we were really having some pretty good interest, and they said, as typical, their meetings get a little more, a lot of questions, it's a little bit unruly at times, but they're used to it. And, well, we even see that at a county meeting, right? But, we kind of got all the agenda, all that lined up, and, I think that's all gonna come out. And, Jamie and Lucas tried to give us a little bit of a briefing. They're still like the thing that you're most interested in the new property tax stuff that they're working on. I think they're gonna get it done this year, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I'd be real blue by August. But, I actually was asking about, so how does this work with the assessments down the road? And eventually, all the rollbacks and everything's gone, and I couldn't get the one question answered that I really wanted answered then. So what happens to 3.5 and 3.95? Is that gone? Because that's our big worry. We always have to spend up to the 3.5 and 3.95 to make sure our insurance and IPers and all that can get paid for. So we get forced to spend more on property taxes so that we don't have to spend too much. Does that make sense? I mean, that's it. And that's what I said. Right now, you guys force us to go to 3.95. Otherwise, we would be over 3.5 by a little bit because of the insurance and all that other stuff. That's doesn't seem to keep getting, it isn't getting cheaper. I mean, this year was a good year for insurance, but most of the time that stuff doesn't get cheaper. But anyway, so we talked about that a little bit, but nobody's really sure how that's going. So hopefully somebody will know something soon enough. It sounds like, we'll be at 7/18 if they don't get done this year. So we'll have another year of that.
how long does session go in?
Well, it did sound like they got enough senators to hold out on the budget. Say we're gonna get eminent domain in front of the whole Senate. So good news there. I guess they're actually gonna debate something that's a little bit of a challenge. And actually have to be seen for what they're thinking. So I'm kind of happy to see that. I'll hold their feet to the fire, so to speak, Are you for the land? Are you for the Constitution or not? You know what I'm getting at. So that seems to be something that may hold them longer. But, I know they said that, Dawson's crew is, Dan, or Senator Dawson, his crew is working pretty diligent getting this property tax thing done. I haven't talked to Steve lately. He's been busy and I have too, so. But, anyway, then we did a tour of Washington County. I don't know if there really isn't a whole lot more to talk to. I mean, talk about what we learned from Jamie or. I mean, they didn't really have anything. We're just kind of plodding along right now. There were some things that were in the funnel. Nothing really of merit that dropped, that didn't make it through the last funnel, the second funnel, so. Didn't sound like this, I don't know. Senate might actually bring up the Highway 30 thing, might get done yet. I don't think that dropped off on the front. So that'd be good news I think if the legislators just started saying to the DOT, we really would like that done. That should be a priority for the DOT. We're not telling you gotta get it done when, but it should be a priority for the DOT. That's all really we need at this point. Let's get that wheel started. I think that's what the DOT needs to hear. Your citizens want this, you know? I mean, cause everywhere else in the state of Drive, there's tons of construction on Old 30 with the bridges and what have you. You get down to Des Moines, it's just, there's construction everywhere, you know? Some of it's fixing things that seem like we just got fixed, you know? Anyway, then we got toured a little bit, get an idea of what's going on in Washington County. You know, Washington County is one of my favorite ones to use because we used to be pretty close to them in population. You know, that was one of the ones that were a like county to us, except for their bedroom. And even Jack in Seward, that it was our president for ISACs. He said, you know, that they are a bedroom community for Iowa City or county, you know. And they had some new developments going in, you know, that were, you know, I don't remember what the heck he even said they were for, but they got a whole new development and it's really nice homes, but they're good family friendly homes for the young family types, you know, where they don't have to go out and borrow $750,000 to have a new home. So, I mean, it's getting a real nice housing area and it's in a really beautiful place. So I thought that was pretty impressive. We went around and seen things like that. We seen their new comm center / there's a lot of the county offices that are in there, you know, and EMA, stuff like that. The assessors, or excuse me, the auditors and treasurer and all that, they stayed in the courthouse that's uptown, but their courthouse isn't real big. And, but then the supervisors got a whole new setup and Jack's office is very messy. He said,
Got an
still moving in, he said.
It's got an office.
Yeah, they've all got office. But they share 2 supervisors. An office, and the chair has his own office. But they have like a clerk. But and they got a really nice board. But it was all a facility. They used ARPA dollars and stuff to help build that. And it's nice, but their comm center was very impressive, you know, especially since recently having a tour of ours. But they're trying to become a regional comm center. They actually had 3 banks of desks. And so there's always people on, even when they're trading, the crew that's coming on is in a half hour early. And so that at least one of them's in a half hour early, so they're already online, you know, and so they got their own little setups. And it's pretty dang nifty the way they got it set up. And it's got all its ventilations all filtered and all kinds of, it's a pretty dang neat place. I mean, they build it right. And then where the comm center is hurricane resistant. Guess would be the best way to put it. You know, they made it where it's a storm shelter, you know, because what do you need to keep running? Your comm center, you know, so it really is a nice setup they got there. But we got to see some stuff like that. And then they took us on their historical village, which, you know, tourism's always a good thing. And I think my wife's actually going on a quilting, one of them trips they go on and I think they'll be stopping there. The room that we were having our meetings in, it's a big quilt room for that. There's Amish quilts there. They got like 1,200 quilts storage and on display in this place. It's pretty, I mean, I'm not a quilt guy, but you know,
That's where-
some of these go back.
Mana colonies are in Washington.
Well, yeah, it was actually in Kelowna. But I mean, that whole area is inundated with colony, with the Amish. And then he kind of was going on there. You got your old Orthodox Amish, which are the ones that are, you know, don't take pictures of me. And then they got that morning when we were kind of touring the historic thing, there's the buggies are all going back and forth by there, coming back and forth in and out of town. But the younger Amish will ride electric bike. That's where they plug them in. They can have generator. Okay, so figure that one out on you to help me out. They just moved a barn in there and this history teacher got that done. And that'll be restored to an original, they got a really nice historical park that's got an old train depot and a rail car there. And then they've got new museums. It's really, really neat. So, I mean, it was really interesting. You kind of give you some ideas of things to help develop. We're kind of already doing something like that down in the Dow City area, you know, with the Dow House and moving the cabin down there and stuff like that. The old schoolhouse and different things that we're doing in our area. But this old history teacher, he actually travels around and you can have him. He's an outstanding speaker. And I think he knows history of Iowa, but he really knows that area. So it was a really neat trip. Learned a lot about that kind of stuff. And then obviously we were all comparing notes the whole time, you know,
Right.
on how we do things versus how they do things. And down at Guthrie, Maggie was up, you know, she was over and they're trying to do some stuff on, you guys, that's what made me think of that. They're trying to do some different stuff on some roads and they were talking, what do we call it when we do the grind up thing? Is there a name for that? That ain't the otter seal, is it, that they call that auto seal?
Like what we're gonna do on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Base stabilization,
Yeah,
we'll stabilize
Yeah.
you know.
but do we have a name for
Auto
that?
seal is.
What's
where
the
we-
auto seal?
You don't do the subgrade stabilization,
Just put a seal coat.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
just a seal
much.
coat on top of it,
Yeah.
or a double seal coat
So-
above beyond.
double.
So she might be getting a hold of you with her auditor to come up, so that especially at the time when we're doing that, so she can see, because they got a road that runs over to the lake. This just beats it to death because it's a gravel. And I told her, I said, well, come look, see what's going on. And the
It's
guys,
definitely a lot less price than trying to
well,
pave it or blacktop.
that's what she was looking
Makes it a lot better.
Cause that's kind of how we got down this path where we're going, cause Tom, Mike, they're in here, we're wanting the auto seal. And we
Did
just,
one of
they
you-
never would hold up.
did one of you go with Paul that time that we went down to Washington County to look at their
Yep.
grinder thing?
Yes.
So that was the other tie into all this, is I remember you guys, they were talking about that, and I said, well, heck, I'm pretty sure we came down and looked at their sheet. We did. Yeah. So anyway, I'll let you get to your job. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
We're
the
doing
population
that
of
project.
Washington County is 22,631.
Yeah. And at one time, we were close to that,
Right.
and that's grown a little bit in the last few years, so we're probably linked.
I wonder, one of these, you'll have to host one of them here when you're.
We're all looking at that.
High sacks.
You guys are gonna have to help me come up with things to do. And we don't have a big tour, but we got stuff.
We-
You wanna read theater, just things, you know, I need to go out.
Wait, still around.
Well, not that guy that you're talking about, want to see that, what we're gonna be doing out there at Yellowstone Park, we are doing that granular surfacing, it's on the top, but, our granular summit, day before, we're doing that surfacing. We're great thing, heard it on the sand. Listen to Jeremy Ashlock from Ohio State Law, on something like. For granular. Except they're gonna be
It's not
doing,
working.
well, they're. I'm sorry, I apologize. We're gonna be doing the granular,
It blew it.
testing out there. The Lloyd,
Before we were married.
that per day before, that was good servicing.
I guess.
Granular servicing.
That's
nice. But to that,
I don't know how it works.
so we've done some hard evidence out there, everything's talking about. Stabilization of these actual on the roads, that's something that might be something that should be very interesting in.
Well, Paul even mentioned that we're doing some of the stabilization on roads that we may not even put a surface on. I mean, we'll go back to gravel, but get a stable base so that we ain't get like what happened. Is it too bad?
Some of those, right, some of those spots like that.
Some problematic roads that just, could use a little more.
Yep. Sounds good.
Let her rip, Ben.
Begin, our bridge project, will be beginning tomorrow. My understanding, they were scheduled to start today, but they backed off a day or two here. We'll be setting up our detour signage here today, they're not done already. So we anticipate them moving in and, hopefully we have a nice smooth going bridge project to go on.
Do we know, Ben, did DOT give any figures? So I've been asked about the bridge closing in Dow City, how long they expect that to be closed?
Paul just mentioned this morning that, here, approximately 2.5 months, yeah.
2.5 months yet.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So, anticipate that if all goes well.
If all goes all right.
But, and we kind of anticipate that they said 2.5 to 3 months at the beginning, where they run into issues and, yeah, I'm not sure what issues they may have come to arise, but, that's always if everything goes exactly as
Rain day. I just didn't know, and I've been asked by a few people, and so I'm like, I need to get the answer.
Well, hopefully 2.5 months will be the high end of it, and we'll see. And to that effect, the DOT has agreed to do a little more dust control down there for the residents along there. Basically, they've given us the green light to do whatever we need for dust control. That on them sites on all the good roads.
I mean, just driving on them, I mean, I guess I don't know, Steve Olmer's Road, what's that? Name of that?
Arian Avenue.
Aaron Avenue, because that is not dusty. But certainly the road going south, if you take that, that's very dusty.
And the guy that lives on that stretch, has kind of reached out to us to see what else can be done, if it could be stopped being used, which we really, our hands are tied in that respect, unless we're truly open up, closing the road. I mean, she's got young kids that are getting dusted out, probably wanna play outside this summer, but, I feel for them down in that neighborhood, that it's a terrible situation that they're in right there, that one place along there, and, they'll be here tomorrow to spray more dust control from the intersection to North Pasture Place there. We're gonna try and keep up on it and keep the dust down for as much as we can, but without having to close the road for us. Right. But, we'll do what we can and try to keep on them. And,
They
hopefully,
spray all of 210?
I don't think we're going to spray the whole lot again. It's you know, well, it's a lot of taxpayer money on a road, and
So DOT doesn't pay for that?
it does.
It does.
They have been paying for it. Don't think it merits spraying the whole segment again. We sprayed all of Arian and all of 210, that first go around. And it just, like I said, it needs to be worked. After 3 weeks, it's become fairly ineffective, and, to do the whole lot all summer, you know, every few weeks, that'd be a tremendous amount of, magnesium chloride going down the road. And we kind of gotta think of what that would look like in the winter too, when, that will impact the roadway a little bit, with the snow.
Is there long-term effects of that magnesium chloride?
Yes, what they are exactly, I don't know. You've probably seen a little more of
It
that.
just breaks up that bottom really well. I mean, just like what we had this last time, when we had those boil outs, it's gonna do that same thing. It just it takes away that factor of the dust binding. And it just creates a hard,
Turns it to butter.
turns it into mush. After so long.
Yeah.
They're just gonna focus.
Can we,
on us.
here was something when I was driving down there, when I was driving down that the other day. I was thinking, can we put like a construction speed limit signs to try to slow people down a little bit? Maybe that'll help with the dust one.
And that'd be like that resolution that you guys would have to vote on and do, because that is, yet again, that's a public road.
How do you
Just like the regular speed limit signs.
Yeah.
They're only gonna follow them as much as the person driving that vehicle.
Who's gonna enforce it?
Yes, we can enforce it. If we put it out there,
Gene.
if we put it on, to our
There's no
county
enforcement,
deputies have to
and,
enforce it.
and people are gonna drive what they're comfortable driving.
Worry about that other extra.
Yeah. And people are passing, people that are going slow.
Yeah. Really, people are going too fast for what the conditions are, regardless, with the dust and whatnot, you can hardly see all that around so fast. They're gonna drive what they're comfortable driving, but, I mean, we can look into it, and if it's something the board wants to do, you can sure do that, but, I guess ultimately,
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the higher traffic count, obviously the dust. Faster you go, the more you tear things down. Just a thought.
we sure look into it. Project on Yellow Smoke Park Road, that is still, to my knowledge, projected for, July at some point, Jimmy Hall will be the contractor on that, really, a week-long project, shape that up. We get a lot of calls on that M Avenue, especially this time of year with washboardy, and just unhappy with the condition as it is right now, just because it's just too hard to keep up on the blading. hopefully that mitigates a lot of that on that stretch. It does see a lot of vehicle traffic and, you know, that'll be a good project for them if, they're not like what they've got now, so. But, roadside crew, they'll still out seeding, they'll probably get mowing here a couple weeks ahead of Memorial Day, get everything mowed up and, but Bridene's keeping the whip cracking on that one, so. Mentioned doing one, but, the granular surfacing, some of we kind of touched on that, getting going on June 18th. Paul has sent out invites or sending out invites to quite a few people. I'm not sure what kind of numbers we're looking at, but I think last time we did it, he said they maybe had around 30 to 40 people. I wasn't there at the time, so.
I think they filled up that room at Crawford pretty good that time, so.
Yep.
It was well attended,
Good.
but it's in January too, so.
He's got some good speakers lined up. I'm not sure all, but I do know that Jeremy Ashlocker that's doing that testing, Iowa State testing, on that Deloitte Boulevard. He'll be there doing a little bit of talk, so, should be real interesting. It's just a way of getting guys together, supervisors, kind of see what other counties are doing for surfacing, what their issues they're encountering, you know, what they're, you know, where they get their gravel, you know, which, and kind of see what their gravel program is on every place.
I think the last big takeaway for the last one was that, there's Winona County come get rock from our supplier.
Don't tell them where we keep ours.
Yeah, I heard about it.
We could have bought that though.
Yeah, we could have controlled the narrative there, but.
The gravel research project from G17 the day before the summit. We got spoke on that. They're gonna do 4 test sections, one of them just as it is, and then the different variations of gravel and limestone on the other 3 sections. And I anticipate they'll be back so many times during the year to just kind of do some of their testing. See how it holds up in comparison to the other test sections, and I'm sure they'll be letting us know their results. It'll be interesting to see. And they're gonna be paying a lot of good limestone to be going down on that roadway to do it. So it's a project. We'll use our guys as close to the gravel pile, we'll haul the rock on the roads, we'll windrow it in, find a water truck from somewhere, get a water truck around and just wheel pack it with one of the dump trucks to back it. That's kind of the plan at this point.
We do have a packer.
We do.
I think it's at the racetrack or something.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
I think a loaded dump truck will be sufficient for what they're doing. They're kind of concerned with how that we get turned around that many times, that packer on that while they're doing it, but once it works, we don't got that, so. But I think they're happy with that loaded dump. You know,
I'm sure
just driving across to get her worked in, so. We did have, let's see, the last Wednesday, an incident where we had a tailgate of a latch on a dump truck and had a motor truck, fall out, and the vehicle did strike it, out on Highway 30 there. Took out the vehicle as well, and the incident report on that. So there is an incidence of us having our tailgate not latched properly at the large rock, and that did get it. And we were able to get the rock cleaned up off the road as quickly as soon as it became aware that we had lost the rock, but probably not fast enough to avoid an incident. We will be working with the insurance company on that.
Nobody was hurt.
Well, they are claiming an elbow shoulder injury from hitting this rock. They, not sure what that like, they're kind of looking in.
What about a big quartzite stone or what?
Yes, well, it's
Erosion stone.
erosion stone. There is a mix of stone like this, stone like this.
9 inch.
Okay. All right,
It's a sizable rock.
Yep.
Anything that's big enough to, if it goes under, it'd be able to take out. Large one. And, we, got put up a word to all the guys to be very mindful of our tailgates. What happened with, one of the chains, we had to get off the back, and it got stuck in the gate, but not allowing it to close properly. They get caught, and loaded her up, stacks up in the back, and they don't notice it, because it stacks in the back, that larger rock. And they didn't notice it until it was on the job site, that the gate had not been shut properly. Yeah, I think he said he saw one rock fall out, and then, he thought it maybe went over the top and went into the ditch and didn't think much of it until he got to the job site and realized that it's not the case, so. Well, we're following up on that.
All right.
Speaking of trucks, our new trucks, Jack and. Who else went to go get them? Jerry and Jared went to go get our new dump trucks today, so. They should actually be rolling in with them, later this afternoon.
Where do they have to go to get it?
Ankeny.
Okay, all right.
That's.
there be a stop. Probably would be enjoying something like that.
I wouldn't put it
Imagine every
past him.
stop at Jethro's barbecue or something in Jackson.
Yep.
Jacksonville, yeah. Yeah, Jerry and Jared. Jared.
Thank you for the update.
Enough.
Beautiful day, go have some.
Thanks, Jess.
The next,
Was there a discussion on it?
yeah, we got that next up is the discussion on David Gresso Avenue, and I'm sure that's what you're doing.
Yes, I think he's aware of road rail, so.
So let's roll into that.
Yes.
See, you're the western out there.
Is David Gresso?
He's supposed to be.
I guess I assumed he was gonna.
I seen.
He's supposed to be coming.
I see Tricia.
Morning.
Welcome, guys.
We're kind of in the more
Yeah, it'll be nice.
slow remodel.
Another bed.
Okay.
Another
Just clean things up.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Morning.
There.
Hello.
I'm just here to ask, what's the plan on the way? I've got a plan, but,
You got a plan?
What's the issue, Dave? I guess I'm totally unaware.
Well, the driving where the ditch there's this much of a curve on the edge of the road, both sides, catching water. And this road was graded, I think it's less than 10 years ago. And if we don't do something, we start, I don't want to take another fence out. Sure. Try and get pasture and that stuff started again. It's still a process trying to get grass in the road again.
I don't like,
And just, I got an idea how to fix it, but
I stopped and talked to Ben and Tim and Paul this morning, and I know Damon's up here too, they've got a plan, and I know I'll let them explain it, 'cause, I mean, as far as the board, I know what needs to be done as well. I mean, we talked to you a year ago,
well, we've been talking about it for about 3 years.
to pulling the shoulders back in and reestablishing the ditch.
And I think you can do it all with blade.
And I think that's what they're planning, is I think maybe a little more than blade and spots, but
Maybe, yeah.
Al Damon and you guys, I don't know if you guys want to just talking through it.
yeah, a good majority just need the blade to pull it back in, get it shaped,
Yeah,
right? That big hill on the very east end, it's got rock check-ins going up and down the hills.
well, yeah, some of that's riprap that was in the ditch.
Yeah, we can't just pull that.
Well, we have to have that, so it doesn't wash out.
Oh, I get that, yeah, but I think the road's doing the washing the road.
It is now.
Yeah.
I think the intent is to, like I said, being dirt roads, we do want to bring that dirt back along the road. Like I said, bringing those edges, some of the ditch, I believe want to like dig up, bring it back on the road. It's where those check dams are, it will have to be dug out around those check dams and probably bring check dams lower up there, but it gets a little. So
I don't know, like, you're trying to go and shit them back.
Oh, where those rocks.
Oh, and then, oh, and that, yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, yes, it's kind of, one of those things that for the summer, that we are looking at doing a little bit of, not really a full-blown grading project like we did, when we shaped up the road,
Yeah.
which was
Price
probably
of
not
trying to
here.
avoid having to do that again. I'm gonna run out of dirt in the city. I've done it twice, because I think I was rented back then, but before stuff.
We're intending to do there, and with a lot of spots around the county that we've identified, some of these are asking grading projects, we're wanting to go up and do a little bit of reshaping, stay within the right way when we can. Bringing in the edges of the road, digging out the ditches, bringing that back, and just trying to shape up what
I
we
mean,
can
it
within the
can
right.
be a little narrow.
And that is one of
Not
them.
hurting anything. But really, with the dirt road, get it too wide, that causes big problems.
It's hard to maintain a wide road.
Yeah, but
Then you talked about some surfacing maybe.
what I want gravel. This
Yeah, I think
is, this is crazy. I mean,
Well, the traffic on that road is just, is on
I mean,
nonstop.
I know you guys designate not, so it's not farm to market road anymore, but the word isn't out, everybody uses it, it's got traffic.
If some of these.
If we get a gravel, decent gravel base on there, it will hold that road, and then keep it, keep it round. Cause them steep hills, you gotta get the water going to the edge.
Yep.
First.
There you're not wrong. Your complaints are all, they're all legit, yeah.
So when would we get, how soon can we get there? I mean, is that something we can do tomorrow?
That's kind of a lot of these projects that we're going to, right now, our grading crew is trying to get to the areas, where, pre-plant, trying to, so where we're not knocking out crop, is what we want to go and do that kind of projects. When the crop is in, then we can do some of these projects that we've identified, within the right of way, where we're not taking out crop and, right, early in the spring and later in the fall, we try to do the areas where after the crop is out, try and get into our full blown grading, so,
So this project is gonna require some grading?
It'll require, this one will require doing some ditch, work in the ditch way, all within the right.
So we didn't need any permission from any landowners?
No, and that's kind of the intent for that, trying to stay within the right of way, so avoid having to go get permissions from all landowners.
But the grading.
We get permissions
crew
when
does
we
this-
do work outside of the right of
The
way.
grading crew does this work?
They will.
Yes.
They will. That's why, okay, I got you.
So you're thinking, now the crops are mostly in, and as soon as they get done where they're at, you're talking 30 days or so, maybe weather permitting, you'll be over there this summer.
It's this summer. We can't guarantee it's gonna be in 30 days, can't guarantee it, but it will be done this summer. There's other projects that we have lined up and we're trying to get those accomplished. Once those jobs are done that we've already preset, we're gonna be taking off maybe a month or two and going back and refurbishing our prior projects to maintain them. We were lax on that one. We understand that. We were lax on the road right behind, the hospital hill, that once the ditches are starting to fill back up again, just the washouts. It's just, we need to keep it maintained and we kind of got lax and now we're not. We're gonna try to keep going back onto those more off and working on it. Gravel roads are the priority. The level Bs, after we grade them, they need to be kept up. Maybe a little bit more than what we're doing, but we still have a lot of miles to do it. To work with each motor grader guy to do it, so hopefully to bring the dirt crew off for a month or two. Then it'll help maintain them here a little bit.
We did that Timber Lane there a couple of years ago, didn't we, Damon? Northern area.
Yeah, the digital group, that one.
We reshaped that one again and, yeah.
If we.
This was
on these, we could hold them, we wouldn't be doing this.
And we are trying to use that front.
But it costs money to keep doing this too. But we're losing the dirt.
I understand that. The level Bs are, I mean, we've adopted the program of putting some granular surfacing out on these level Bs that we've been doing. And it's been very well
And they
received.
did that.
And it does increase, probably, the traffic on that roadway because they recognize that as a good roadway to travel now so, yeah, it probably has seen an increase in traffic, Still a level B, unless it was to be,
Yeah, Ty asked-
change otherwise.
Hang on,
And
Ty-
that makes it complicated for being,
Okay, I asked a question.
This was one of the first ones that we put granular surface. Okay, the reclaimed gravel. Actually, it was Dave's idea. I talked to him and I've talked to Paul several times about this over the last 2 years. About bringing this up, because you brought up to me that you didn't want to have to dig into the ground again, your farm ground, or your pasture, I should say. So, but the one thing is that Paul brought up is that we'd had that, put that gravel on. Well, if we start shaping it, pretty soon we're just pulling dirt up over top of that granular surface that we put on there. So that was one of the reasons for the hesitation, as I understood it. But, at this point now, we're probably gonna have to do the digging out of the dirt. So, do
It's
we,
like
I don't,
any other gravel road or any, you gotta keep putting some on. You just. I mean, some of these gravel roads have got. Well, no, what's it like, although it was a set dip hill out here. Last year, we had to have, I would really call them. Guy had to come out and push it off to the side. We could not get an empty semi up the hill. There was so much gravel. That it would just spin right off the hill.
Yeah, steep hills, yeah.
Yeah, but I just.
I think it's a good feeling.
It just seems to me maintaining some gravel, maybe not quite as good as the other ones, but. That's the only way you're gonna hold this. It's just.
We gotta protect the investment we put in them. We know what it
I mean,
costs to fix these
you
dirt
need it-
roads. Everybody gets that.
For the county and for the.
I agree. Striking that balance of, putting some aggregate out there, yet not so much as treating it as a gravel road, and that's where it kind of makes it a little bit complicated on these, level Bs that we kind of adopted this program of granular surfacing. Yeah, somebody runs up that and muds through it and, creates ruts, then,
Well, that's.
suddenly you gotta blade it and there's all your gravel gone.
That's another problem there. It's right off that highway.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how much Kurt Butler's had it through his fence 3 times. I mean, they don't, when they hit that, but they don't stop till they get to the bottom of the hill or in the ditch.
And they see that.
Luckily, I must lean that way, because they've got my
They
fence.
gravel road.
So I guess the long and short is they will get to it this summer when the crops get in and.
But I guess I would love to see it, which was promised to me, I mean, a lot of you weren't around for that. That it was gonna be gravel and be a regular gravel road. At the last minute, then somebody changed it, so
I
it
don't
was.
remember how that all went down, Dave. I was here, but I don't remember what
Yeah,
what
that was,
changed.
that was the agreement. Neil was still here then.
Yeah, I
And
don't
that
remember
was the
what
agreement we
changed.
had, and then at the last minute, I don't, we were talking about it, and I found out that, no, that wasn't gonna happen.
We weren't
because
gonna bring it to a full.
The farm to market road now supposedly goes around.
I don't recall why
I
that
mean, it's a
changed.
straight shot from the county highway, south of Charter Road to Denison. And that's why it's used so much, everybody. Then sometimes, except when it's used accidentally too, when they come full.
I can see that.
Oh,
Will we hear you? Work on it this summer.
I mean, that's what I really want, I guess.
what do we gotta do? Because if we put gravel on it, then that's going to level A. You know, I've been here for 100 times to go to level
If we
B.
go with level A road, we'll have to really do a complete regrade on reshaping of the whole thing.
I don't think so, I think
I think
you
we
would
need to
save
also within the right. But
Ben,
We've done some, we've done some upgrading of the gravel. We would want to make sure that we have the site distances and whatnot going to, if we were gonna go to a gravel road. The geometrics, that would really need to be for it to be a gravel
The
road.
process to go to A, and Craig just asked this, is there a petition process for the landowners around it?
It would require a resolution to.
Just a resolution by us.
Yes.
But he doesn't require petitions from
Public hearing?
public hearing.
To go the other
That's a
way, you have
question.
to.
That was a question, not a statement. Question mark.
Well, if we go
I don't know.
backwards, we always gotta have
I know, I
a
don't know.
public hearing
I'm not
and
sure.
landowner participation, you know, as far as, you know, everybody's in agreement with it, that's when we go backwards. You know, if like from A's to B's, B's to C's, and do we have to do the same thing for one another? I don't.
I would
know the
imagine
answer to
so.
that.
I imagine you probably want a public hearing.
Again, look into that.
I will.
Always best
Look
to be
into it,
transparent.
get us an estimate of what it would cost to bring it to a level A. It's gonna take more.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
I don't,
But don't hesitate,
Take
don't
that.
change the course. for
the
that.
worst one is the back hill by side.
Yeah.
That's the tough end. Right.
That's gonna be
It's my
tough.
own, for my own selfish reason.
Oh, it's hard.
Other than that.
That's what I'll check it, so that's gonna be the hard.
Even if it's a
Yeah,
level A.
yeah, the rest of that,
Wait.
I didn't bring that back.
I probably would want to see kind of what our traffic numbers are on that road, see what it merits, and, like I said, see what the different are.
Get us some information on
Maybe
that.
We've had it the opposite way too, where, remember with Jimmy Reiser on that dead end dirt road and they were gonna gravel it back farther? They wanted the gates up front and some landowners didn't want it.
Yeah, we had that not too long ago.
Sometimes
They
they're
didn't want
private.
it because they didn't want a, dump hole in them.
They don't want more traffic on it, so.
Oh, well,
So I mean, we have to check our,
yeah, I see, yeah, right, right. I mean, the traffic is there.
Sometimes you think it's a slam dunk, as Kuman used to say, and it's not even on the basketball court. We'll do some more research on it.
Would need that much, except for that back hill.
Most of it, Blake can do most of it.
That's what I felt.
It's just getting my guys to get their roads graded, you know, keep up on their gravel roads. It takes so much time for them to do that,
Right.
to get them there, do extra stuff like this.
We'll look into some of that.
Alright.
Then we can
Coming in
put some
February,
numbers
maybe
together,
this
see if it's
summer.
something that.
To do any of that?
We're interested in doing, like I said, there's a lot of little B roads that, you know, could be upgraded to level A's. It's whether or not the investment is something that, we just wanna do.
I feel there should be some money available with the mild winters we've had lately. I don't think.
it does help
Am I wrong?
salt and it does help with the usage of salt. And
I just been in a plot of snow one time.
Yeah, it's been good, last couple of years as far as being able to retain the gravel on the roads. But then not have,
you were
not
luckier
having
than
snow
us
to
in
be able to
Manila.
push
We
them.
got hit with 8 inches of snow twice.
Say that again.
The wet snow.
You were luckier than us in Manila. We got hit with 8 inches of snow twice.
Oh, okay.
But
I remember some winters were a heck of a lot worse than that.
Yeah. we had a couple tough ones down there.
Okay.
We were digging calves on snowbanks.
Just recently.
All in all, we'll find some information on what it takes to go to a class of or to a level A road. Do all of our checks and balances, make sure everything's good. But one thing, we will be back to that road to maintain on that road. And if the board decides on making that level A road, then, you know, we have to do what the public and the board tells us to do. We'll do that. But let's do a little bit of checking on that, but know that we will be coming through there, grading up not only that road, but other roads that we've done in the past. So it does take time.
I just appreciate somebody keep me updated.
Yeah, and I understand this one, I guess I wasn't, but this was talked about last year or a few years ago, so I said, yeah, something on this road, so, it has been kind of on the schedule to,
And we
possibly be doing a formal program.
It's kinda like done.
I mean, just kind of what I read is if you have one or more adjoining landowners petition this board of supervisors, we have 60 days to decide whether to change the classification of that road from a level B to a level A.
Better language, yeah.
Alright,
Never such like.
yeah, start the ball rolling.
Similar with,
Good
I
addition.
don't know, KN there, bucks.
Well, we'll dig into it further and definitely get agreed regardless. We've got-
We got sticky.
Yeah, at a minimum, we know that that road will be shaped up in some respect, but it's.
Code number California.
Appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you listening to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate, you
I
know.
wanna come in.
You're really
happy
good for it.
It's all good.
Next time I'll come in with a thank you.
Explain that, so.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Very good.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Maybe
Guys, thanks.
we'll get some numbers. Some information. We'll see you guys.
Good, Dan.
Hi, guys. Is there a bench somewhere that we're not using that we could put over here so we can avoid probably?
We already talked about that. We just probably haven't got that far.
Lot going on.
There's. been
Have a
pretty
real
good-
job that
Real quick,
You're
before we
doing
go
great. We
into
appreciate it.
closed session, citizens input, is there anybody on Zoom with citizen input?
I don't see any.
Okay,
Dan.
hearing
Thanks
none,
for showing up.
we're gonna be going in closed session. I'd entertain a
I'm
motion.
going to go into closed session per Iowa Code 21.5.
What?
I thought you wanted me up here in citizen input about the budget.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, sorry, yep,
You're here to give citizen input on the budget?
Yes,
Okay.
that was my understanding.
Yep,
Yep,
that's great.
yep, yep.
We're gonna put you to work on all
Citizens
kinds of
input.
input. Come on in.
Right, okay.
All right.
I mean, I can just go.
Yeah.
But I know, that I'm
No,
sorry.
we were
I
interested.
was thinking you were here for it.
No, we'll let him deal with that.
I did too.
So I guess Terry sent me an email. Do you guys have some questions
About that
about,
70.
about the amendment?
Right, right.
So I'm here.
How that breaks down.
The
So
salary
70
portion.
yeah, the 77.6. So obviously we had three people that were paid out, so myself included, Todd Stater and Troy Keller. So any vacation, sick leave, comp time or anything that they had, was paid out. Total payout for retirement were 55,350. Then with Troy and Jim retiring basically at the same time, we had to hire building deputies to cover shifts. So there was extra expenses for that as well. There was some overtime paid out to the regular deputies to cover those shifts, and then we had our part-time guys work as well. So the overtime on that was right at 10,773. So that's the reason for the 77.6. And currently we're running one short now, so we're the extra 5 just to cover the shifts if we need it.
One of the questions that I had, as far as like comp time and sick time, do you monitor that to make sure that they're not building up so much?
Yes, yep,
So everybody was pretty much in line, that we
Yep.
didn't have a bunch set in a bucket and
Right.
that they should.
yes, we are now, yep. Yeah, before it wasn't, but yeah,
Okay.
we do keep track of it.
That is important,
Yep.
payout time, that time.
Yeah, we don't want them to bank 200-300 hours of comp time.
Yeah, use it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, okay. That was my question, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do you have a policy for that, or do you just to have that discussion with your employees?
Discussion, yeah, so,
Nothing in writing
With
that
the-
we
with the
can only
previous sheriff, yeah,
accumulate so
there was-
many
there was
hours
nothing,
of time.
There is policy in the handbook. actually.
we,
There is.
yeah, what is it,
First.
40 hours.
40 hours? So,
Add by June 30th, have it down.
yes, you're right.
Yep.
Very
Thank
specific
you.
policy.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We're keeping track of it.
It's in there.
I know it's hard when got people
Well,
coming and going and
stuff.
telling somebody they have to be gone when you're busy and, but.
Yeah, and obviously, we don't leave the county unprotected, so we need staff out there, so.
All right, so everything's normal now though, so. Back to normal.
What do you mean by
Explain normal.
For sheriff's office, I'm pretty sure that don't even
There
exist.
is no normal.
So,
Look on Roger's face and he said,
Yeah.
"No."
Normal, that was
yeah,
Well, it's just nice to have clarification from you.
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
so, was that the only one you had a question about?
That was the question I had, is
Okay.
how we
Yep.
got to 77 times.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Roger.
That was easy for you. Go back to your normal life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Roger.
Here, Roger.
Yeah.
I borrow 5 minutes first?
Yep, yep.
Satisfied?
Yes.
Gene and Terry, can I grab you here for a second before we take the next agenda item? Want to go over drones?
Back there.
If we can have an illegal meeting, if you'd like. You guys wanna keep an eye on us so we behave?
That would not include session.
That's the zoomer. Your mom's watching, we gotta behave.
I was looking back through Noriolis library. I was looking to see what my great grandfather would have had to say. A lot of it's in German yet in 1884, so might have to find a translator.
That he spoke in German, he
Well,
was
the news,
quoted in the newspaper.
the newspapers wrote in German.
Is that right?
Really?
I was reading it all English in 1955. That's,
Well, in 1955, yeah, 1880.
oh, 1884. I thought you said 1984. And I was like, oh, they quote him or?
Yeah, well, they might.
That would make sense, though.
Okay.
I've heard that before, we're back.
So
When my
what was
grandpa
the,
homesteaded here.
why did they
everybody
vote
spoke
him?
German.
Well, I haven't, even- I just was.
Oh, had a
I
neighbor.
knew
My
the
great
county
grandfather
supervisor.
was a
Old German
and then we
neighbor
went
tell
to
me
state
that,
now.
little schoolhouses,
Okay,
a lot of
trying to-
German kids about.
Trying to timeline that all in.
I think that they go back to about that year, the newspaper does, 1893.
Never heard because he was
1872 or
They
something.
let it run, just-
And then the bulletin just starts
Go
like
back to it.
1892 or something.
Yeah, the library has done a really nice job of putting that stuff online. That's really
But
nice.
on the phone, I think sometimes you're limited to how you can search.
Right, I use my computer.
Or you gotta get in the front of the computer.
Craig, I might be biased because my wife's librarian, but they offer so many services for new, what they all do, it's just not.
Right, you would have enjoyed that history teacher down there.
Once they vote.
At those meetings last week, you know, because you're like the history stuff, but he was talking about the rail lines that went in down there, why the towns were all so far apart. And like what cheers where they got most of the coal for the rail back in those early days, and it was pretty, he was going to all kinds of stuff. He had some real neat old suit stuff to look at and everything.
I make a motion.
Oh, well,
I make a motion to go into closed session.
okay,
Second,
motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Chair votes aye. Here in closed session.
Okay,
Okay, that's right.
We're in.
Gotta kill the Zoom.
she'll work it out.